Welcome back to this special coverage on a day when Narendra Modi has been sworn in as India's 15th Prime Minister along with a cabinet of 45 Council of Ministers. At this point, we welcome viewers at CNBC TV 18 as well, which is a good point then to turn to the economy and the fact that many thought that the finance ministry was being closely watched. Now you've got a situation where the finance minister of the country will also be the defense minister, is what we are being told, Arun Jaitley. How do you see that, Dr. Sanjay Baru, that the finance minister of the country is also going to be the defense minister of the country at a time when one would have thought that economy deserves a full-time 100% minister?
Well, first of all, I would assume that this will not be a long-term arrangement, and at some point there will be a full-time defense minister. But I sincerely hope that Mr. Jaitley uses his very first budget to push through some of the major recommendations about defense industry, which the Vijay Kelkar committee had recommended a couple of years ago, allowing private investment into defense, opening up the defense sector to foreign investment, etc., etc. I mean, defense in many parts of the world has been an employment generating industry. It's an industry that actually has been a cutting edge of manufacturing. We've all heard about the military industrial complex. I think in India there's a tremendous potential for the indigenization of defense production, reducing imports in defense and manufacturing at home in collaboration with major global defense companies. And there is a map that Vijay Kelkar has drawn for the privatization of defense production.
Yes.
So I really hope Mr. Jaitley uses his status as finance minister to use his very first budget to implement the recommendations of the Kelkar committee.
Given that, who is number 2 Kumar Ketkar then in this government? Is it the person who's finance and defense, or is it Rajnath Singh, the home minister? In the order of precedence, when the swearing in took place, Rajnath Singh followed the prime minister. Do you see Rajnath Singh now as the clear number 2, or is there somewhere a message in the manner in which Arun Jaitley has been given both finance, which is critical, as well as the defense portfolio?
Well, actually in Modi's style there is nothing like clear number 2, but it is obvious that Rajnath Singh is number 2, because I think the protocol wise, it was essential for the BJP president who campaigned very hard for Narendra Modi to be accommodated as number 2. So I think Rajnath Singh is number 2, and if he has been given home, then obviously he is number 2 even otherwise. So I think by the status as a BJP president and also by the nature of home ministry, which is supposed to be number 2, I think he is number 2.
You're saying he's number 2, but there's an interesting sidelight to this, Jagannathan, because you've got, Mr. Jagannathan, a situation where Mr. Arun Jaitley lost an election. Arun Jaitley lost the Amritsar election. Smriti Irani lost the election in Amethi. Both of them are becoming senior ministers. Do you think that's a good precedent? When the Congress had inducted Shivraj Patil after he lost as home minister, there was a lot of criticism from the BJP. Do you believe that it is necessary to win a Lok Sabha election to become a cabinet minister right away?
Well, I think for a prime minister it's important to be elected from the Lok Sabha, but for other ministers I think we have had precedents where there are Rajya Sabha members who have been there. It would have been ideal if Arun Jaitley had won, but I think in this case it also suits Mr. Modi because he needs competent people, and it also emphasizes his dependence on him for power. So somebody who is not elected from the Lok Sabha does not have.
Does it also show the lack of competence? Sorry to intervene. Does it also show that there is a talent pool deficit? That at the end of the day, you have to turn to an Arun Jaitley, you have to turn possibly to a Smriti Irani, that you don't have that many talented people actually in government or in the BJP today to be made ministers overnight. Let's be clear. Is there a talent pool deficit also that stares governments today?
Yes, I think it's very clearly the case, because I think the Congress has had a larger pool to draw from. The BJP has a smaller pool.
Yes.
But I presume that they will be able to draw from other sides outside the party, and it will take some time. I think right now they do not have the kind of pool, and given Mr. Modi's decision to keep some of the older lot out, it actually narrowed the pool down even further.
You know, at this moment I'm joined by Sudhindra Kulkarni, who's also worked with the Vajpayee government. So we have someone who's worked with Manmohan Singh's government and someone who's worked with Mr. Vajpayee's government. Sanjay Baru there saying that Manmohan Singh was constrained by coalition, therefore could not stamp his authority on his cabinet. Do you believe Narendra Modi today on day one has stamped his authority on his cabinet in a manner that even Mr. Vajpayee could not? Mr. Vajpayee in 1998, sir, did not even get his own finance minister. He wanted Jaswant Singh, the RSS forced Yashwant Sinha on him. Do you believe that way Narendra Modi is freer from all these constraints?
Of course he's freer because he's stronger. The people have given him a far stronger mandate than even Atal Bihari Vajpayee got, and therefore today's Council of Ministers certainly has the stamp of Narendra Modi. But even though it's not it's not suffering from the same kind of coalition constraints, he's done well. First, in terms of giving good social geographical representation within the BJP, and he has some representation from the coalition partners. This is the first edition. There is going to be one more edition, perhaps two more editions of cabinet formation, and we are going to see a far more, on the one hand, representative Council of Ministers. At the same time, this is going to be a Modi cabinet in a way that even Manmohan Singh's cabinet was not.
Does it mean that the power is centered around the PMO? Let's be clear, because because when you say good geographical representation, my list shows 7 from Maharashtra, 9 from UP. So out of 46, 16 are from 2 states.
No, that's true. For example, Rajasthan is highly underrepresented.
Now they finally
cabinet formation is still work in progress.
You think this is not the final cabinet of?
No, it's not at all.
You see more names being added.
Certainly there will be more names added, perhaps after the budget session. But whatever be the final composition of the cabinet, this has the stamp of authority of the Prime Minister. The Prime Minister is going to drive this government in a way that we have not seen, certainly not Dr. Manmohan Singh's. And even Atal Bihari Vajpayee, you see, his first government lasted only first 13 days and then 13 months. Now, he doesn't have any such threat to his government.
Now, of course,
so
this could lead,
government.
Yes, but this could lead to the other side of it, which is concentration of power. There are two views to it. One is that, you empower your ministers and the ministers actually take responsibility. The other is everyone will be looking over their shoulder to see whether the Prime Minister approves of what they're doing. Do you see this leading to concentration of power, which is the one fear that people have in a Modi cabinet? All decisions will emanate eventually out of one man, Narendra Damodar Das Modi.
No, a good leader has to delegate.
Will Modi delegate? That's the question. Have we seen enough in this cabinet formation to suggest that Narendra Modi will eventually delegate?
There are very experienced ministers. As Prime Minister, he'll give them a very clear, clear goals, targets on what is to be achieved. But he will leave the ministers to look after their portfolios on their own.
Portfolio, because I was told by one minister that when he was rung up today, he was told, be prepared to work 16 to 18 hours a day. Do you believe that Narendra Modi will expect his ministers now to work and deliver?
You see, the thing is that you just mentioned about competence and so forth.
Yes.
And that Modi's cabinet may lack competence. But, I don't see why competence should be such a big thing. What is more important than competence in an abstract way is dedication to the job. Will you work hard or will you want to work hard? We've heard all these things about very competent ministers in UPA 2 cabinet and so forth. What did they amount to? They didn't amount to anything. What really matters is, will they work or won't they work?